They were right. They were right. But here's where I won't act so presidential. So it doesn't look presidential when I call. So Carrier, you know, closed up their plant, and they're moving. You saw the announcement 3 weeks ago. Some management guy gets up, and he wasn't even nice about it, frankly. You'd think he'd be nice about it. He said, after many, many years, all these great people, 1,400 people, we're closing our plant, we're moving to Mexico. It was almost said like that. You saw the announcement. We're closing our plant, we're moving to Mexico. By the way, folks, whether you're highly educated or not highly educated, how does that help us, right? How does it help us? So we're closing our plant, we're moving to Mexico. So here's what I do. Now, I have the best business leaders in the world. Carl Icahn, some of the smartest, the best. We have the best in the world. We're going to use them for trade. We're going to use them for negotiation. We're going to use them to our advantage. Nobody can out-negotiate these deals. But here's what I'm doing. Don't worry about them. Let them rot. Let them rot. Don't worry about them, folks. Don't worry about them, folks. Don't worry about them. Let's just talk over. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm not at all going to look presidential, but I'm going to do it myself anyway. I'm calling up the head of Carrier, and I'm going to say, this could be Ford, by the way, this could be Nabisco, this could be any one of the hundreds of companies that are pouring into Mexico because our leadership is so stupid, they let it happen. This could be Pfizer that's moving to Ireland, but here's what I'm doing. I'm going to say something that conservatives don't like, because while I'm a free trader, I'm a smart trader. I'm a fair trader. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to say to Carrier, enjoy your new plant. I hope it's lovely. I hope you make a lot of air conditioning units. And I buy a lot of Carrier, but I'm not buying anymore. I hope you make a lot of air conditioning units. But here's the story. Every unit you make that crosses the border, and now we're going to have a real border, remember that. We're going to have a real border. We are charging you 35% tax on that unit. And you know what they're going to say? They're going to call up their lobbyist. But the lobbyists can't get to me because I haven't taken any of their money. And they're going to call up their special interest friends. And they're going to call me, and I'm not even going to take their call. They didn't give me anything. I turned down tens of millions of dollars. I have turned down, folks. So Jeb Bush had 148 million. Can you believe that? Jeb spent $160 million on his campaign, and he was down here. I spent peanuts, and I'm by far number one. Now, peanuts. What's peanuts? What's peanuts? What's peanuts? $30 million is always money, right? But I spent relatively little. Wouldn't it be nice if our country was that way? Where the guy who spends the least is in first place. You know, in education, out of the top 30, the 30 countries that they look at, the United States is number 30, last. We're last. But we're number one in cost per pupil. Number one. Think of that. So we're number one. Not good, right? So we are going to change it around, and we're going to have a situation where let them go. They have no voice. Listen, look, it's a Bernie person. It's a Bernie. Hello, Bernie. Hey, Bernie, get your people in line, Bernie. Get your people in line. Can you imagine Bernie saying that Trump should get his people under control, and they put in these people? And by the way, our crowds are so much bigger than Bernie's, you wouldn't believe it. Not even. And I think Bernie's finished, but you never know. Hillary's really doing badly, right? You never know. I think he's finished, but we've been saying that for about 4 weeks. Hillary just seemed, I don't know, Hillary cannot seem to win. Even against the communists. I mean, how is it that in this great society of, in our great, great world, that a communist cannot be beaten by Hillary Clinton. It's terrible. Okay, so here's the story, folks. They will call me and they will put, but I didn't take any of their money, right? I don't care. I'm working for you. And I will tell the head of Carrier, no, I'm sorry, the 35%, I mean it, it's done. Enjoy your plant, have a good thing. He'll call me back within 1 day, as sure as you're standing there, and he'll say, Mr. President, we've decided to stay in the United States. I'll say, thank you, thank you. That's what's gonna happen. By the way, that's not 90% or 95%, that's 100% sure, all right? That's 100% sure. So look, I just want to tell you, so important is on Tuesday, you have to go out and vote. We have this incredible movement. We have this incredible movement going on. It's on the cover of Time magazine. It's on the cover of the New York Times, which treats us all horribly, by the way. And fortunately, it's a dying paper. It won't be around too much longer. It's on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. We have a movement going like, by the way, this isn't Donald Trump talking. This is political experts, if there is such a thing, like has never been seen in the United States. Okay? Thank you. Do you know? And it's not because of little Marco, and it's not because of Lion Ted, I can tell you that. Do you know that millions and millions of people more are going to the polls to vote? That some of the countries, I'll tell you what, if you take a look, all countries are watching this. They don't believe what's happening. Millions and millions and millions of people. And yet, for the Democrats, they're down 35%. The Republicans have millions of people coming in. They're Democrats, they're independents, they're all over. They're people who have never voted before. I'll sign some papers here in a little while. I'll shake some hands. But let me just tell you what happens. And I'll tell you that what's happening is every time I do, I meet every 20th person. Says, Mr. Trump, these are 50-year-old people, 60-year-old, 70-year-old. I had one 92 years old in Tennessee. Mr. Trump, I've never voted before, ever. I've never found anybody that I've wanted to vote for. Sir, for the first time in my life, I'm voting. And they have a Trump shirt on, the whole thing. I'm voting. This is a massive number of people. We beat Hillary in the polls. I haven't even started on her. I have to still get rid of this Kasich guy. I have to get rid of Kasich. He would be so bad as president because he's so weak on immigration. He's so bad on trade. But he had luck. He had the oil. He had pure luck. And by the way, you're going to have huge problems. You watch what's going to happen over the next year or 2 years with Ohio. But if I get in, it's going to all turn around. You're going to keep your companies here. You're not going to lose this one. You're not going to lose that one. So here's the story, folks. You got to get out and vote on Tuesday, or the movement is just going to go down in history as a wonderful, wonderful lot of talk. I received a call from a very, very major reporter, somebody I respect a lot, even though he happens to be liberal. And he said, I'd like to talk to Donald Trump. So they put me on the phone. I said, yes. He goes, how does it feel? I said, how does what feel? How does it feel to do what you've done? Nobody has ever done it in the history of this country. How does it feel? I said, doesn't feel like anything personally, because if I don't win, it doesn't mean a damn thing to me. He said, no, you're wrong. He said, no, you're wrong. What you've done will go down in the history books. And I said, you're wrong. If we don't win, we can't make these changes. We can't straighten out the country. And I say it doesn't matter. So we've got to win. We've got to win on Tuesday. On Tuesday, you have to go, and we have to. Now, and just in closing, I have to tell you again, I want to thank the great Park family, but here's really what I want to do. You're going to win so much. We're going to win with the military. We're going to win for our veterans. We're going to take care of our veterans. We're going to win with health care. We're going to win at the border. We're going to have a strong border. We're going to have a wall. We're going to have Mexico pay for the wall. We're going to take care of it. We're going to win with Common Core and education. We're getting rid of Common Core. We're going to save our Second Amendment. We're going to save it. We're not going to let them chip away any longer at Christianity, which they're doing more and more. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let that happen. And we're not going to let them chip away at our Second Amendment. So here's the story. We're going to win, and we're going to win everywhere. We're going to knock the hell out of ISIS. We're going to win with trade. We're going to win with trade. We're going to win with health. We're going to win at so many levels. We're going to win, win, win. You're going to get so tired of winning. You're going to say, Mr. President, please, we don't want to win anymore. It's too much. And I'm going to say, I'm sorry. We're going to keep winning because we're going to make America great again. I love you. Thank you.
The wrong fish, even if you let it go.
They're going to say you injured the fish by
already,
catching it.
It's already illegal to trap rainwater. You know, they control Mother Nature too.
They're going to say you should have known what fish was on your line before you caught it.
I ordered a pole like you got, and yeah, I have both flags. I wasn't in time, so I only got a couple just to get through the day. Amazon 22 with shipping. Yeah. That you gotta have it. It's for your yard. You gotta cement it in. I'll show you that we haven't had any problems back here. This officer here, I don't know if you can see him. They drive by. He's been by 4 times now. And,
oh yeah, you can see him in the background there.
Yeah. That's the 4th time he's been by, so today might actually be the day where we actually get a talking to. And I've got plenty of constitutions to give him. Even if he has a partner, it'd be good for both of them to have them. Something to read while they're trying to get people in illegal traffic stops.
There's a set of morals in here that we no longer abide by. So I'm going to read something to you because I don't know who here has heard this. And I'm going to go through this very briefly, and then I'm going to jump right in the middle of this here, and I'm going to tell you where the danger is coming from. So if you can bear with me while I get my 20-year-old eyes working here, it'd be good. Okay? I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence. Has anybody ever heard that? Yep. Several of you have heard it. Well, you're going to hear it again. But you're going to get in. But you're going to Command Sergeant Major's abbreviated reading. It says, "We, ladies and gentlemen, mean us, the American people, not some bumbleheads in Washington D.C. It's us, not them." You're going to find out why I'm a drill sergeant, too. I actually sing to 400 and 500 people. I know I got some former Marines in here because I fought them. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." That does not mean affirmative action. That means we're all equal. And then we work through life to become unequal. Some of us get to be lawyers. So far about that, like a car salesman maybe, I don't know. But we're all equal. God does not respect persons. So we have no business passing hate crime laws. None. Because we're setting aside a group of people special. We've got a Supreme Court out of control with the laws on sodomy, and that's what they are. The word gay just means happy. It does not mean wrong. Ooh, drill sergeant coming out of me. All created, that all are endowed by their Creator, that would be Jesus Christ, with certain unalienable rights. What God gives you, ladies and gentlemen, only God can take back. I'm going to get into the definitions of law in just a second. Where am I at? Inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, that be us, derived from their just powers from the consent of the government. That means us. We give them the consent to rule over us. They don't take it. We need to kick some of them. Yeah. And you might see my killer instinct come out here shortly, so hold me off here. Okay? It tends to come out of me when I get talking about this. Where am I at? Consent of the government. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. That means we can get rid of it. And you're not an extremist by doing it. You have the right. You take the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution is a Christian document. And I'm gonna read, where am I at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Somebody done stole the most lethal weapon in the world. And I'm going to read something to you. That's the only verse I'm going to read out of here, because I don't know who all is here. Okay? But this here is the foundation for this. You can't separate them. I don't know what them black robe perverts don't understand down there. But they need me to talk to them. I'll square them away for you. It'll take me about a minute. Yeah. And to institute new government lying its foundations on such principles and organizations, powers, in such form as to them shall seem likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that government long established should not be changed for light and transient cause. And accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and upsurtions, pursuing invariably the same objective, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government. This is from the founding of our country. This is our birth certificate. And we're letting it slip right through our fingers because a lot of pastors don't have the testosterone to throw it at you in your face. Yeah. Yeah. There was a time in this country when pastors wore a military suit underneath of their robes. They were called Minutemen. They were the first ones on the battleground. What has happened to us, ladies and gentlemen? Where's it gone? It takes one generation, that's 50 years about, to destroy a nation. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We are in very, very deep trouble. Very deep trouble. I want to talk about who's the commander-in-chief of the military. It's not the President of the United States. He is not the commander-in-chief until war has been declared. War has never been declared since World War II. And I have had 9 combat tours. And each one of them has cost me 18 months of my life. I've done my fair share of killing. I'm tired of it. And you're either going to go to the ballot box or you're going to go to the bullet box in the next 18 months. If you got that time. I'm dead serious. I'm a former Green Beret. I know exactly what I'm talking about. This ain't no game, folks. And I'm going to read to you in just a second. The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy. Notice it doesn't talk about the Marines and the Air Force. There's a reason for that. Of the United States and the militia of the several states. When called into actual service. So if they're not in service, who's he commanding? If they're not in war, who's he commanding? I'm going to tell you. Glad you asked that question. Okay? Where am I at here? I'm going to skip that one. I don't want to hear that anyway. Let's see. Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a republican form of government. Do you know what the definition of a nation is under international law? Anybody have any idea what that is? I'm glad you told me, because I'm going to tell you. Number 1 is they have a sovereign flag. Does Missouri not have a flag?
Yes.
Okay? You have the second thing. A sovereign nation must be able to prosecute a country for treason. I know some of you know what this is, because I see you in here. I know who you are. Okay?
Must be able to prosecute a right.
Treason. Missouri has a state law for treason. How many other nations do you see doing this? Nobody. So you have a national flag. Missouri has a flag. You must be under international law, have the ability to try a person for treason. If you go to Russia, only Russia can try you for treason. You go to China, only China can try you for treason. So why can't all 50 states try you for treason if they're not considered sovereign? That makes sense? That's right. So we have that. The second thing you have is you have to have a commonly dressed military with a bona fide uniform. You can't have a bunch of ragtags walking around with a bunch of different uniforms on. So if y'all going down that road, you're going down the wrong way. You need a common uniform. Missouri has that. It's not the National Guard, by the way. They lost that in 1940 when they accepted federal funds. Right. There's 2 kinds of militias, the called out and the non-called out. And 2 people can call the militia out, if I understand it right, the governor or the sheriff of the county. 2 most powerful positions there is. But the National Guard does wear the big bear. So that is their uniform. So they claim they are the militia. No, they are not. They haven't been the militia. That's why it's called national. The militia is made up of every bodied man, 18 to 65, in a county. It ain't them people over in Washington, D.C. It's here. Now, I can never be part of it because I'm a federal trooper. I'm retired federal service. I cannot join a militia unit. But I can advise. I can do that. Okay? So those are the things that make up a nation. So Missouri has its own flag. It can try you for treason. It has a common military. And they can try you under a uniform code of military justice within the militia. So it's very valid. So we are a sovereign nation according to our founding fathers. And under the 9th and 10th Amendment, the 9th Amendment, you have sovereign rights from the state as an individual. You have a right to marry who you want. You have a right to live where you want. You have a right to train for what you want. You have a right to do those things. The 10th Amendment means the states are sovereign from the federal government. The federal government has no business coming in there telling us what to do. Unless it specifically is given to them by this. Just read it to you. If it's not in here, they can't do it. They have no right sending our young sons all over the world because he's not the commander-in-chief. Congress commands the military. Congress doesn't. Not the president, because there's no declared war. Because I have fought everything from Vietnam till now. I've been through all of them. Every single one of them. And there's not a one of them that declared war. Why are you not upset about that? Why is people not jumping up and down about that? Blaine Lukenmeyer out there where I live is an absolute idiot. Roy Blunt and Claire McCaskill won't even talk to me. They say, you're an extremist. I say, amen. Okay? And I'm real good with a rifle. My best shot is 1,875 meters. I got me a gold star on that one. That's a fact. You run from me, you will die tired. I'm dead serious, folks. When are we going to get back to this? Back to our birth certificate. Speaking of birth certificate, this is a pet peeve of mine. I got a friend over here I've known for years. This is really a pet peeve. I'm not going to dime me out, James. On my birth certificate, it says my father's name, John William Page, our address, and my mother's name, Gladys Marie Page, address. Then it has my name. And down here it says Caucasian male. I went down and got me a new birth certificate because somebody wanted the police department. I was a white male. I said, whoa, wait a minute here. This evolution must be true. How did I become a white male from a Caucasian male? There's a reason for that if you understand psychological warfare. It's taken away your humanity, which makes the soldier who's going to kill you feel much easier. And I know this is really, I can't get too deep into it because I don't have the time. Right. But the first thing they do when they want to kill you is they start changing who you are. They take away your identity. A horse is the same as a pony. A girl is the same as a woman. We know that's all bull. It's not true. So I'm sitting there looking at that. Wait a minute. I got two birth certificates here. One says Caucasian, one says what? She says, well, they mean the same. I said, well, then why did you change it?
Right.
Come on, Muttonhead, tell me. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Where am I? I'm getting wound up here now. Hold on. When Mr. Reagan became president, he issued these to everybody. And as soon as George Bush the first got in, he took them all back.
Yep.
Okay? But let me get to Isaiah. Somebody beats me there. Would you read it, whoever gets there first? Isaiah 33. Or I got it, I think. 33:22. Now listen to what he says, and you can take Madison's writings and you can refer to this. This is not my opinion. This is fact. Okay? Isaiah chapter 33, verse 22. Listen to what it says. For the Lord is our judge. The Lord is our lawgiver. The Lord is our king. Three branches of government. That's a fact. Madison refers to this. And by the way, Jefferson had nothing to do with the U.S. Constitution. He was in France. He wasn't even in America. He wrote the Declaration of Independence, period. Madison was a principal architect of our birth certificate. The problem we got is people do not understand what's on their birth certificate. And we're about to lose it. We are very, very close to losing it. Does everybody understand where it's? Isaiah 33:22. For the Lord is our judge, that is the judiciary. The Lord is our lawgiver, that's Congress. The Lord is our king, that's the president. That's not my imagination. I want to pass out to make sure I get these back. There may be a cop in here who's got sticky fingers or something. This is the proposed new Constitution that has already been drafted. It was ordered under George Bush. Can I get somebody else to? Colonel, could you pass the draft on me? I need those back. That is only one draft of 8 drafts that are going on right now. They started under. Just take a quick look at it, because I'm going to put it up here if I can get to it. That's only one draft of many drafts. The new Constitution is all ready to go. They only need the right incident to bring it down. And they're working on that right now. We're not very far away from an event that's going to bring what you call martial law. That term will never be used, by the way. Yep. Emergency police powers will be. Just take a quick look at it. Now you can go to, please do not hang on to it. Pass it. I'll come by and take it out of your hand if I see you holding it too long. I will do it. I got in an argument with a man when he started going through it page by page. And I said, hey, Huckleberry, move it on. He wouldn't do it, so I took it out of his hand. So I will do it. Pass it on, because I'm going to put it up here. By the way, I'm not known for my personality, so I don't mean to offend nobody.
Can we just look that thing up on Google?
Yes, you can. You can get it yourself. Did anybody read the USA Today? Well, this little homosexual sodomite here, just because, incidentally, there are 4 sodomites on the Supreme Court. Has anybody read this? Farmer Justice Stevens wants to change the Constitution. And he lists 6 things in here that have to go. Number 1, the Second Amendment. Why would he pick that one out? Because he's an idiot. No, he's not an idiot. Man knows what he's doing. You can read this yourself right there. You can read it yourself. It's in today's. This is today. I have a liturgy of this stuff to put to you as fast as I can. We are in great, great peril. It says, change the Second Amendment. Yeah? Change the Eighth Amendment. You know what the Eighth Amendment's for? Okay? Hope you all do. If you don't, you're going to find out. Removing the First Amendment clause about religious freedom. Who do you think they're targeting on that? Christians. Okay? Even if you're not a Christian, this ought to concern you. It ought to really get you upset. The states must become submissive to the federal government in all aspects. Really? By the way that we're being run, I would say that's probably already done. Allow Congress to states to perform federal duties in emergencies. In other words, they want to be able to send everybody anywhere they want. Anywhere they want. If you can give me just a moment, I'm going to get into this something else here now because I want to throw some of this up on the board. You're not going to see this slide anywhere in the world. What I would like for you to do is I'm going to pass these 2 around. Do not steal them. It's all I got. Or we'll break your arms. Okay. This is the Secretary of the Army in my last few months in Africa. Okay. Secretary Hillary Clinton was there. Okay. This is what the world's going to start to look like by 2015. How far is that away? It's not very far, is it? That means you better get prepared, folks. That's the only slide in the world like that. You won't find it nowhere in the world. I snapped that with a little camera. I was in that office that you see. That's the Secretary of the Army. He said in 2015 events are going to start happening. That's going to transform us into this. Now, you've seen the Constitution. I'm not blowing smoke up your backside, folks, because you ain't got nothing I want. And I'm not afraid of a man in here. You don't intimidate me. So I'm not, that's true stuff. This is going to happen. It cannot be stopped. It's not going to stop until you get in touch with your state legislators and get up on their backside. You've got to start teaching your children. You need to get that 5- and 6-year-old and teach them their birth certificate, and you need to start pounding it into them. You got to make your man up. You got to make your mind up to man up or get out. Lead, follow, or move. This is serious business. There's going to be a lot of blood, folks. Because you're looking at one 60-year-old man ain't going to go along with it. Been there, done that. If I die, I go to heaven. What they going to do, kill me?
Amen.
Hell, I died a long time ago.
Could you just say one more time, what does this represent?
This represents the world's been broken down into 10 regions. I'm glad you brought. The world has been broken down into 10 regions. This is one of the models, just one. It's probably going to change between now and 2020. By 2020, this will be in effect. The United States has been subdivided into 10 regions. Everything is 10. Everything is 10. Okay? Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri are Zone 7. The boundaries and the county boundaries have been erased. That's why you see all these joint task force on police. The policemen don't know this. And when I talk to them, they say, okay, Paige,
Yep.
you got
like
PMS or some crap, I don't know, whatever they call that.
Dan, are these the same as the FEMA regions?
I don't know about that, sir. I just know what I know on here.
I mean, the regions of the states.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen that, so I can't say. But I do know that the United States has been broken down into 10 sub-regions. Missouri, Iowa, Kansas is Zone 7. The counties are being erased. Police departments are becoming one. Everything has to become one. And it's going to happen. Have you noticed the school district problems in St. Louis County? Have you noticed that Normandy School District and all that are all in serious trouble? And I forgot to bring this to you. I apologize to you. It's a book by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Anybody know who he is?
Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Yeah.
Right.
He wrote a book called The Gulag Archipelago.
Right.
You familiar with that? In there, he lays out a plan. And what he said was, you have to build educational barracks to get the kids to go to so they can have diversity. You are about to see a proposal, probably in the next 4 or 5 years, where they are going to build barracks, educational campgrounds for kids, and everybody's going to turn it over to them. And then what started happening, he just talks about how they would let the kids come home 1 week in the month. Then they kept it to one week in the month. Then they expanded it to every 6 months, and then once a year. And then what the kids started doing was spying on the parents.
Yep.
And guess what happened to the parents? They went to the Gulag. You know where the Gulag was at? It was in Siberia. That's where you all going to go. If you don't start talking to your children. Get away from the stupid TV and the ball games. The house is burning down. You don't have time, ladies and gentlemen. 2015, everything up to this is coming down. It's falling down all around you. But yet grown men will stand for hours and spend hundreds of dollars on grown men playing a child's game. I guess they like looking at men in tight pants. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. I really don't get it. The average football ticket last year cost $247 per person. This year they said that this game, Super Bowl game, was the most expensive in world history. And people went bankrupt to go see it. How stupid can you get?
Right.
Should you not be a good steward of what you've been given? The day is going to come when grown men are going to cry and wish they were never born because they didn't spend time with their daughters. They didn't spend time with their sons, but they stayed some stupid game down in Busch Stadium. Doesn't make sense. So that's right there. That's where we're going. Let me see if I can get out of this. The man you're looking here is Rear Admiral Losey. Okay? I'm going to show you some slides in just a second of something that's going to greatly affect you. He is the Chief SEAL of all U.S. SEALs. Okay? He's a very good man, but he's hard as nails. He's smiling there, but he never smiled at me. He's always telling me to do something. So I'm going to sit down here just for a second, try to operate this so we can get through this thing real quick. Okay? Then I'm going to put it on go. Now this here is Command Master Chief Robert Audis. He is my grade. He is a Navy E9. Him and I was the highest ranking people on the whole African continent. I was a Command Sergeant Major for AFRICOM. He was a Command Master Chief of all naval forces. He worked for Admiral Losey, and I worked for Admiral Losey. He had control of all the SEALs. I had control of all the Rangers and Green Berets and blah, 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 blah. Okay? Very good man, hard man. And he told me on this trip that you're seeing right here, he says, I'm going to retire and I get back. I'm not going to be part of this. I'm not going to be, and then I'm going to tell you about 9/11, what really happened to the World Trade Towers. Say, a lot of things you all don't know about. This here is it's a Chinese mobile concrete fracture. We built the road from, if you know eschatology, and I hope that you do. Anybody ever heard Psalms 83? Anybody familiar with that? You know Armageddon? Armageddon is not one battle. Armageddon is 3 battles. Armageddon is a war, but there's 3 battles. In Psalms 83, Russia invades Israel. They are beat back. 8/5 of their army are killed. They go all the way back to Siberia. Is that right? Know your Bible? Amen. Okay. The second battle is with the king of the east. That'd be China. They come down with 200,000 armed. That 200,000 cells. That's 200 million. They're the only people right now on earth that can field that. Something you may not know about is all the wild horses in American West for the past 10 years have been shipped over there. This road that I'm going to show you starts in China and ends at the mouth of the Euphrates River in Iraq. Do you know what this means? Are you seeing where I'm going with this?
MRS.
Pardon?
Memorandum of supply.
Do what?
It's an MRS.
No, it's
Memorandum of supply.
no, it's not MRS. Do you understand the significance of this?
No.
That's where the army's going to come from that's going to invade Israel for the second battle. The final battle is when the Lord himself comes back and kills everybody. Okay? That's how close this is. And I'm going to put this on here in just a second, but I want to show you a couple more things, okay? This was the South Korean SEAL team captain, commander, okay? This is the ship that I was on. Actually looked pretty good there.
Getting a little gray there.
That's just tread mileage. Now this here is Kenya. I had my own airplane. I had me a Learjet. I said, I want to go find where that illegal aliens, the plane to be my undocumented president lives at. So I flew to Africa, and right there, and I went to our undocumented president's home. He was born in Kenya. Okay, I'll show that to you. This is not my opinion. That's just a little closer. It says Kenya right there, right there. See? Incidentally, Army Green Berets are the only ones authorized to wear civilian clothes in combat. We can kill you any way we want. Up close, kiss you, whatever we want. Green Berets are the only ones trained in unconventional warfare and counterinsurgency. SEALs are not, Marines are not, we are. We are the premier military force. Period. Well, this is me again. This guy here, I liked him. If I was to ask you this question, don't answer it. Who would you want to be murdered by, or who would you want to be killed by? Somebody frowning or somebody smiling? He always smiled. I said, man, why are you smiling? He said, I like my work. He was the chief SEAL for the South Korean Army. That man could kick you in the head and then cut your head off and smile at you, and he'd sit down there and eat spaghetti afterwards. I'm dead serious. That man would kill you and smile at you. Little background here. This here is the ship I served on. That'd be me right there. Okay.
Are you saying they're mixing all the armies? They're bringing in the Russians and the
Yes,
Chinese
they are.
to kill us?
Yes, they are. This here was our CIA base. I'm sorry. Let's see here. If you notice that name, right here, what's it say?
Orma.
Yeah, well, they forgot to spell the B right. It's Obama. See, Obama went to school here. I'm going to show you this. This is the school, right here.
Yep.
Actually, I'm African. I'm just real well. I've been in a cave for a couple of weeks. I got real light complected. Okay. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to put this on slide projection here, and then I'm going to get into something else. Let you look at that for a few minutes. Here it is. Just kind of look at that while I'm talking to you about some things. Right now, there are three phases that a society goes through. One is persecution. That means your faith is being challenged. Everybody mocks you. Everybody ridicules you. They stand for nothing. If you take a stand against sodomy, abortion, you are a terrorist, ladies and gentlemen. The next phase is prosecution. There's a couple out there in New Mexico right now that are being prosecuted and put out of business and were arrested because they refused to take pictures of sodomites.
Yep.
What about my freedom of religion from that? In the military right now, you have open sodomy, people holding hands, swapping spit together. Sick. It's pitiful. You got women trying to be... By the way, and I deeply resent this, we had our first female Green Beret. Of course, they had to redo the qualifications. We've had our first Marine infantry officer come out. Of course, they had to redo the qualifications. What's wrong here? We have our first female Ranger. What happened here? Something's wrong. So the next phase, after you have persecution, prosecution, the final phase is execution. In the scriptures, does not teach you about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. You have a white horse and a pale horse. The pale horse is actually beryl green. Do you know what the color of Islam is? Green. Does it not say whoever refuses to take the mark will be beheaded? Is that not true? Do you know how the Muslims take care of you? They cut your head off. Obama is allowing hundreds of thousands of them to come in every week.
Yep.
The only passive Muslim is a Sufi. Sufi only. They are passive until they get around a more dominant Muslim. Then they will kill you. Muslims are passive until they gain parity with you or they exceed you in numbers. And they will kill you.
Yep.
Just some thoughts here for you. With relation to the Constitution, there are three views of law. There is the law of nature. Two men cannot make a baby. It takes a man and a woman, the law of nature. Okay? What goes up must come down. That's nature. Then there is called the natural law. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't remember anything else tonight, please remember these things. The law, the natural law comes from God. Whatever God gives you, only God can take back. Under God, God's law never changed. His word has never changed. But out of His mercy, He will extend your life or whatever. He just extended your grace to you. But if He decides to slam you down, you're done. Now what you're seeing there is that road being built. You need to study your Bible to see what that means to you. That's because this is close. That thing was completed May the 10th of last year. It's done. It's got 2 foot of asphalt and 1 foot of concrete underneath of it. Now why would they need such a heavy road?
Heavy equipment.
Heavy equipment. It can only be used for commercial and military use. There's nobody living on that. Nobody. The power lines that you see there don't have no juice in them until the Chinese throw the switch. I want to go back to this. But the law of nature says you are, as God is sovereign and the world is sovereign, you are a sovereign individual. And out of that comes the republic. The word republic means a body of law. God's attribute is law because He doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and 1,000,000 years from now. God ain't going to change. He says that's wrong, it stays wrong. He doesn't change. That's what the law. That's where the law republic comes from. And under a republican form of government, you have constitutional law. That be this. And it cannot be changed unless you go through an amendment process. That's the only way to change it. The amendment process equates to God's mercy. Okay? That's how you do it. Under positivism, which is the third, is a communist doctrine of law. Positivism says the state is the highest form of authority. And whatever the state gives, the state can take away. Okay? And under positivism, you have something called civil rights. Have you heard that before? There's a difference between constitutional rights and civil rights. Under positivism, the law changes with each new generation. Well, trying to define a generation may be a bit problematic. Some say 20 years, some say 50, some say 100. So can you see the confusion in our country today? It's a mess. Something to think about. During the American Revolution, or prior to that, there was an incident, I think it was in Boston, where some British soldiers killed some Americans. And they were tried by the colonialists for killing the Americans. Right after that, the king transferred the authority to try British troops into London, and you had to go to England to try them. Today, a federal agent is immune from any prosecution. Does that sound reminiscent of something? Ruby Ridge, Waco, Texas. Okay?
They take them out to state court.
Right.
Whatever state the crime's committed in, the federals take that agent, get him out of state court.
Exactly.
Get him in the federal.
You cannot try a federal agent in a state court. This is why this is not constitutional. The British did the same thing, and our ancestors took up muskets to stop it. What's going on in Nevada right now? I hope you know about what's going on out there.
Yeah.
And there's more of it getting ready to go in Texas that you haven't heard about yet. But you're getting ready to. They're getting ready to take thousands of acres down there. Getting ready to. In southern Missouri, they got stuff going on down there too. There's no end to what's going to stop this. I'm just about out of time, folks, so I got to hurry here. Obama, he said if he doesn't get what he wants, he says, I have a pen and an executive order. There's not one thing in there, ladies and gentlemen, gives him the authority to do that.
That's right.
There's no such thing as an executive order.
That's right.
That's the reason I left the military. I told my commander I'm not going to obey an undocumented president.
Right.
And I left. I took 2 years early retirement, so I won't do it. This next election, folks, 2014 is not so much important, but the one in 2016, you had better choose right. In my opinion, there won't be one after that, because of what I'm telling you right there. It has started. The United States is about to have an economic collapse, and I'll get in that at the end of this if I can, if I have sufficient time. A honey trap is something where you throw the bait out there, and it looks so enticing, and you take it because you just got to have it, you know, but it will kill you. It's like the praying mantis, the female praying mantis, and the mantis, the male. When they get through doing their business, she bites his head off. Don't get no ideas, please. Yeah, she picked it. She got it. Don't do that. Right now in the United States, most chiefs of police and sheriffs and lieutenants and above will go to the FBI Academy. When they go to the FBI Academy, they come back brainwashed for some reason. Now, I know the St. Louis County Police has that policy. I do not know about the rest of them, but I know just about every sheriff will go to the FBI Academy. Okay, I don't know that all chiefs go, but I do know they do. A lot of them do go.
Reagan was elected to the presidency. He installed Louis Giuffrida as head of FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Giuffrida was an old cold warrior from Reagan's California days, whose specialty was suppression of unrest and dissent. Giuffrida, North, and George Bush began to turn FEMA into an instrument of domestic anti-terrorism.
You're dealing with a group of people in the Reagan administration who equated political dissent with treason, and who cannot differentiate between emergency procedures, which I think everyone agrees are necessary, and suppressing political dissent. And with North and Poindexter and Casey, you had a group of people who saw Americans who disagree with them as the enemy.
Colonel North, in your work at the NSC, were you not assigned at one time to work on plans for the continuity of government in the event of a major disaster? Mr. Chairman?
I believe the question touches upon a highly sensitive and classified area, so may I request that you not touch upon that, sir?
That's Senator Inouye of Hawaii.
Chairman, because I read in Miami papers and several others that there had been a plan developed by that same agency, a contingency plan in the event of emergency that would suspend the American Constitution. And I was deeply concerned about it and wondered if that was the area in which he had worked.
I most respectfully request that that matter not be touched upon at this stage. If we wish to get into this, certain arrangements can be made for an executive session.
And tragically, the only member who got close was Jack Brooks, and he was stopped by the chairman.
He was immediately out the door, and this is about the last thing I'm going to have time for. This is Rex 84. This goes along with something you may want to write down called Operation Garden Plot. This is Rex 84. You can read it yourself. It goes right along. This is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a joke. I personally, and many people that I work with, very, very, very close people that I know, expect an imminent collapse of the United States. Imminent. I don't know when it will come, but it's going to come. It will come. It may be one major event. It may be a series of events, but it's going to happen. Every day that you tarry. If you are a Christian, every day that you wake up and you're on the side of your bed, if you're doing like me, you're scratching. Every time a foot hits the ground, all of hell should shake. When that other foot comes down, the world should tremble from a Christian waking up. You need to be out there doing something. And I don't care whether you're a Christian or not. I personally believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord Savior, but I'm also a killer. I've killed a lot. And if I need to, I'll kill a whole bunch more. If you don't want to get killed, don't show up in front of me. It's that simple. I have no qualms with it. God did not raise me to be a coward. No questions, not now. There comes a time when you got to man up. They're going to take your kids from you and put them in indoctrination camps. They're going to do it. It's going to happen. And there's nothing you're going to do to stop it because we've waited too long. I see a lot of gray-haired people in here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a 50-year fight. All of us are not going to survive it. Dan Page won't. So what you do now is for your children. Has nothing to do with you. You got to get the me out of the way. You got to get in the fight to be in the fight. This 2016 election is extremely important. I have not voted for a Republican in 35 years. And I will not do it again. That's just me. I vote for the individual. You've got to get in the fight, ladies and gentlemen, at the state level. You've got to get your head out of the game at the federal level. It's too late. You've got to get in at the state, at the county. You've got to get involved with the school boards. There's something I call justification. You're not justified in divorcing your wife until you've had a heart-to-heart talk with her to see what the issues are. If she's mad about you, something that she's giving you the stuck-up nose, what's wrong? You're not justified in slapping her upside the head or you until you talk it out. Of course, you're never justified in slapping anybody anyway. You're not justified in filing for bankruptcy until you've attempted to pay all your bills off. The reason I'm telling you this, you're not justified going to the bullet box right off the bat. There's a lot of things we can do to stop this. God is all-powerful. If you get right with Him, He can make things happen for you. If you don't, you will go to the bullet box. And I only know maybe one or two people in here that's seen combat. You don't want to see it. You do not want my kind of memories. You don't. I'm just telling you. You don't know what it's like to see a flood of humanity. Floods of them. For those of you who have diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, you're dead. Your maximum effective lifespan is 24 hours by the time this thing hits. That's all you got. And this is going to happen. Operation Garden Plot goes and talks a lot about the continuity of government. The continuity of government is a concept where those in power are going to protect themselves against you. And every time you do something they don't like, they become more oppressive. When you find out they become more oppressive, you do something. It keeps ratcheting up. We're all being funneled. I want to talk to you real quickly about the last 60 hours of a nation, and then I'm done. Okay? And I'm going to do this from memory because I don't have time to go into it. We've all had people that have died, and we've watched them maybe linger with cancer, heart disease, or something. And we say to ourselves, they're getting close. Is that pretty right?
Yep.
The last 60 hours of a nation has the same thing. I was the very first soldier. You can look at that. I was the very first ones into Afghanistan when the war started. I was already there. And I will tell you about what I know about 9/11. I told you I would. Colonel Capel, a full-bird colonel, commander of SOC Europe, that's Special Forces Command Europe, flew into Bosnia. And he assembled all of the SF guys under one up in the greenhouse. That will be in that building over there. He assembled us all in there. And this was in 1999. This was August the 1st, if I remember correctly. He says, gentlemen, no men, sorry. There's about to be an attack upon the United States. And he put on a presentation like I'm putting on you. And he put up on the screen all the people that were involved, going to be involved in it. They were already there. 19 of them were from Saudi Arabia. Only one of them was from somewhere else. But we attacked Afghanistan. That sounds logical to me.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia sent them in, go blow up Afghanistan. And he says, after that happens, the United States will be forever changed. And this man was highly respected. With that in mind, he went down to Charlie Ramp. That'd be the place to go home on. He flew home and retired. He said, I'm not going to be part of what America's going to turn into. 30 days later, you know what happened. Me and my team flew into Afghanistan. We started calling them B-52 airstrikes on Tora Bora Mountains. And you know the rest of it. I've been over there 5 times. There were no weapons of mass destruction. Did not exist. The federal government's the definition of a weapon of mass destruction is a 50 caliber machine gun. I got them at home. Sorry, this is what it is. Where are they at? 14 years later, there's no weapons of mass destruction. Syria don't have them. Nobody has them. We got satellites in the sky. Nobody tracked them. They don't exist. So why did we go? That's the big question. In Saddam Hussein's trial in The Hague, it was proven he had nothing to do with the World Trade Towers. Germany told Bush. They warned him of it. And it did not come from Saddam Hussein, but yet we attacked Afghanistan for 3 months and we immediately went into Iraq. Why? There's no weapons of mass destruction. That man was hung. But you know what he said that really interested me? He says, you know, I've done a lot of things. I've killed a lot of people. But he says, I've never murdered 50 million of my own people. Who do you think he was talking to? Us. So there was no weapons of mass destruction. Didn't happen. He was cleared by our own State Department of having anything to do with 9/11. So why did we go? World government, folks. Anybody that resisted is dead, including you. I know there's a big target on my back. I know that. I still carry a secret clearance. I just left Fort Leonard Wood, and I am totally done. I'd like to show you some more, but I'm out of time. I went down there 3 days ago because I get briefed every 6 months. I still do. And I talked to my companion, CSM. He says, Dan, we're bringing in 1,000 Spetsnaz a week. And that's what those guys are right here, Spetsnaz. I did time with them. He says, we're bringing in 1,000 a week. He said, this thing between the U.S. and Ukraine is a ruse. He said, of course, you know that. I said, yeah, I know. It may be that international event that we're waiting on. He said, he said there's 18,000 of them at Fort Leonard Wood right now. And there is. They're all over the place. Fort Carson, Colorado has 25,000. Fort Polk, Louisiana has, I think, 1,400. They will kill you. They will kill you. And now let me give you the last thing I want to tell you when a nation crumbles. You're going to start to see more, the news media is going to start banging on something. Could be Ukraine, could be, we don't know. That's how psychological warfare works. They talk about this, and this is happening over here. It's called a distraction. Incidentally, if you want anything that I've got a list here. We can do this 3 ways. You can write down your name, phone number, and address. I can mail it to you. I can send it to you in digitals, or you can get with Mrs. Butler or Doc and give them their name and address. Could you pass that around? And then I will burn them copies of everything I got that I don't have time to go into. So number one is there's going to be an emphasis upon international events. The news media is going to pound it, pound it, pound it. The second thing is you're going to start to see a group or a person guilty of racism or something along those lines. We're going to start pounding on that. They want your attention over here. The third thing you're going to start to see is people being arrested for domestic terrorism. The fourth thing you're going to see, and this is what I got to talk to the ladies about. It's what I call ancient hates, ancient madness, ancient revenge. When these things start to happen, people are going to start rioting. The EBT cards are going to shut down. Can you imagine what's going to happen in North St. Louis and St. Louis County when the EBT cards go down, when the ATM machines don't work? Walmarts in Illinois and other places had some problems with that already. Think about that, what's going to happen. When the inner cities start to ignite, people are going to start killing people they don't like. And I'm going to warn the ladies on something. And this always gets me in trouble, but I got to tell you. This domestic violence stuff, every time a man turns around and gets jammed up by his wife on this, you are heading for troubles, ladies. A man can be arrested now for domestic property damage, domestic peace disturbance, domestic destruction of property, so forth and so forth. And so how can you do that in your own house? You can be arrested for domestic trespassing. I've seen people with lines down the middle of the house. Stupid. If you don't like each other that much, just kill each other and get it over with. Problem solved. Get it done. Don't be wasting cops' time. Just shoot each other and get it over with. Okay? That's the way I feel about it. Don't tell the colonel that.
Major, is this going to go nuclear?
Just hold on. Hold on. No questions right now. All right. So that's the fourth thing that's going to happen. Okay? Contractors are going to come in. They'd be me. People like me, but on the other side. They're going to kill you. You're going to start seeing people, that person sitting next to you a few years from now will not be sitting there because they're going to be gone. Because somebody like me is going to come in and kill you. For all you wannabes out here who think you're the baddest thing in the world, I got news for you. You're going to meet bad. Not that bad can't be killed, but when you're talking with somebody who does this 24/7 every day of their life, they get pretty good at it.
Right.
Not somebody who just does it every now and then. I've seen grown men go out and buy all the latest widgets. I've seen guys in the Army do this. You can always tell the rookie. He's got the latest crap on. And the minute the first round, stage left. Stick to the basics. You don't need the most expensive gun. Don't need all that. You just need the one that you'll train with, one that works, and one that you'll use. That's all you need. The last thing comes in is when the main force comes in, and it's all over with. And all this will happen in less than 60 days or 60 hours. The last 60 hours, because that's what we did in Iraq. We brought everybody in, we assembled it, and then we hit it. Can you imagine what those people thought when they started seeing this massive army assembled around it? Can you imagine the fear in those people's eyes? We used to look down there in telescopes at those people's face. You could see the fear. We killed 32,000 people in one night. When the B-52s came in and the A-10 Warhawks came in, 32,000 people died in one night. Think about it. And incidentally, the states that are going to be attacked are those states passing laws restricting federal government. The 21 states that have filed to secede from the Union, that's the targets. That's where they're coming. If you are deducting ties from your, if you are deducting your ties from your tax, they're coming to your house because that means you're a religious person. The definition of a terrorist is a white male, one who believes in Jesus Christ, one who believes in the Second Amendment, one who believes in a third party. That is the definition of a terrorist. I'm going to stop. I thank you all. I can't go on no more. I appreciate it. I'll open it up for questions. I know Doc says we're on a short leash here, so it's up to you after that. Yes, sir.
If you capture one of these Russian special forces, do they have tattoos on their body?
Sir, they could have a tattoo on their butt. I don't know.
No, but I'm saying...
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't answer your question. I don't know.
Is this going to go nuclear, chemical, or biological, full-blown?
It probably, battlefield nuclear weapons are very small. They only designed to kill about 10 square miles. It could.
So it ain't going to be like Cold War, thermonuclear winter?
I have no idea. I don't know. I can't answer your question. I don't know. Yes.
Something I asked you on the phone was, how do we get police, fire, and paramedics involved with Oath Keepers and to help us to help the people in our communities or something like that?
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't know that this was going to be an Oath Keepers. I thought this was just a church meeting. To tell you the truth, I don't know. An Oath Keepers among law enforcement, I don't know what their opinion is on them, so I can't say.
Yeah.
But what I would do, I would simply I would go down to the police department, and I would probably go to the police academy, the civilian academy, and how you present yourself. If you come off as somebody really odd to policemen are very cynical. I know I am. I don't trust nobody, and I hate everybody. So I hate y'all too. I hate everybody. I'm into diversity. I kill everybody. I don't care. But I would go down to the police department, get to know them, and just let yourselves be known that you're not some extremist organization, because the news media has you where they want. So you have to combat that. There's something called 80-10-20 or 97-3. It's what I call the 97 percenters are going to do whatever the federal government wants. Right. 3% will not. On the other hand, you got the 80% who will, the 20% who don't care one way or the other, and the 10% will resist. So you have to present yourself to them on an individual basis rather than as a group, I think. And just explain your views. Keep it simple. Don't get way out there theoretical and stuff. Talk about those things that you know, and just stick to the issues, I think. Next question. Any more?
Yeah.
Jim.
Sergeant Major, have you seen anything as far as a memorandum come down through the Army that makes Tea Party members or Christians that share their view within the military subjects to court martial?
Yes, that's true. The Army has a policy now. It's called proselytizing. If you are a Christian, you cannot mention Jesus anywhere in the barracks, on military property, have a Bible displayed or anything like that. That's true.
Have come down with the memorandum?
Oh, yes, that's true, yes. People are being court-martialed and separated for that. That's true.
Is it possible just to defund this by simply not paying taxes?
No, that's another issue I'm not going to get into. It's justified in paying taxes. Jesus said he pulled a coin out of the fish's mouth and said, "Pay up, shut up." That's my definition of it. Yeah, taxes are legitimate. There's nothing wrong with paying taxes. That's just the way that it is.
So what happens, because good men like you are all retiring from the military, so what kind of military do you have left then?
Sodomites and females.
That are willing to do whatever they can?
End of statement.
Should we stand our ground or should we run? What should we do?
You know, I can't tell you what to do. I will tell you I got a big bullseye on my back because I forgot to do this. I do not represent the St. Louis County Police Department. I do not speak for them. This is all my opinion. I do not speak for the U.S. military, the federal government, or the president. I forgot to tell you this because I have to get permission from the Army to do this. I'm theirs. They own me. So I can't tell you what to do on that. Here's what I believe. The Scriptures teach us, and this is the best example I can give, every knee is going to take a bow to the Lord of Jesus Christ. And you got to face Him, so you do what you think He would be proud of. Sir?
We've seen a huge purge of the leadership of the military.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people, including me, wondering when this stuff hits the fan, there's going to be a whole lot of guys that stand down in the military and in the police force. What kind of percentage do you kind of think?
Well, that's going to be real difficult. I would say that they would have 90% going to come and kill you because there is a purge that you cannot believe in the military right now. The Marine Corps, whether you like it or not, I don't care what branch of military you come from, is the guardians of America. They are, I really hate to say this, but I got to say it, they are the finest fighting force the world's ever known. They really are. They're good. If you want to go that way, you tell a Marine, well, he's got it. But they are being feminized. And I'm not picking on women, okay? But they are being destroyed because of females who are not happy with being women. And ladies, I'm going to tell you right now, you better enjoy your femininity. Because the day is going to come when you're just going to want to sit and put smelly good on and just relax. It's not going to happen. So I can't answer that, but there was, I was going to show it to you, but I do not have time, called the 29 Palm Survey. And they were asked by the United Nations Combat Survey Team, because I took it too, are you willing, this was done under Bush, by the way. Well, now I've actually got the survey here. And Bush asked them, if I issue an executive order telling you to shoot those people who will not turn their firearms, are you willing to do it? At that time, 75% of the Marine Corps said no. Bush was furious. So he started cleaning the Marine Corps out. For the first time in history, they had, this is a couple years ago, the Marine Corps Commandant has always been an infantry soldier, always. But it's no longer that. Now they got a loghead in there, a logistics guy who don't know crap about combat. Right. And he's been doing everything Obama tells him to do. So the good Marines are being pushed. And the Marines are not a large force anyway. I think they're about 80, 90,000. 170? Well, they've gone up then. But they're not that big, but they are the finest fighting force. So if something ain't broke, why would you want to change it? Now, we got our first female Green Beret, our first female Ranger. Ladies, you're going down the wrong road on this because I used to carry a 90-pound backpack in there. That's all gone. Sir, you had a question.
I was going to ask you, earlier in the talk, you talked about the president being in charge of the Army and the Navy, but you exclude the Marine Corps and Air Force.
Right.
Why?
Because they come under, they come under, the Marines come under the Department of the Navy. So there's no Posse Comitatus Act on them. They can do whatever they want, and the Air Force did not exist. So they can do what they want. That said, the Patriot Act eliminated the Posse Comitatus. The 2012 National Defense Authorization Act, signed by Republicans, for you Republicats in here, twice. You can now be held incognito indefinitely. No lawyers. No handwritten mail. No Twitter. No Facebook. That's going to kill most people right there. Okay? No nothing. No family. You're not told. You're gone forever. Incidentally, there's a movie out with Mr. Stallone and somebody, I forgot who the other guy is. Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's called Escape. You're reading my thoughts.
Yes.
It's called Escape. That boat exists. It's real. That boat does exist. I'm telling you for a fact. I know it did. I'm just telling you, I know it for a fact it exists. It's real. Sir.
Pondered and wondered, the military isn't supposed to be used internally in the United States, but it looks like the police forces have been militarized and desensitized against things that fight against the United States. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, that's inaccurate, because the military can now be used. That's what I just said. There is no such thing as posse comitatus. It doesn't exist. The military can and will be used in the United States. But who you better watch for is the contractors. Folks, I'm going to have to end it. My time is out. Thank you.
I would like to present Sergeant Major Dan Page with one of our oath keepers. What's that look good on his St. Louis County Police?
Thank you very much.
I got a question for you, General. In the event of a revolution, do you think the military would turn on the U.S. people?
That's been asked me a number of times. My answer to that would be the hierarchy of the government would not stand by the Constitution necessarily, but would stand by the political chain of command. We know the Marines and the Special Operations Forces for sure will stand by the American people. Whether the file and the ranks of all the services would stand by the Constitution and the people is a big question. But I think what's going on, our military is awakening. They see these rules of engagement and the misdiagnosis of the enemy, the lack of proper strategy and tactics to win and come back home is there. The troops know that. And I learned that at West Point. The troops always know. The leaders sometimes don't know.
We've already had an attempted coup. When Ambassador Stevens was murdered, General Ham, at the time, he was the head of AFRICOM, was launching a rescue mission with commando troops. And Admiral Guyette, who was the commander of Carrier Task Force 3 in the area, he was providing surveillance, he was providing air cover and intelligence. Both men were arrested by their number 2. I don't know about the number 2 behind Guyette, but I was able to find out about the number 2 behind Ham. His name was Colonel Rodriguez. He was a member of the CIA. He stepped in and stopped this attempt. Now, the overall plan did not end there. And I want to talk about the significance of this. You've got the head of AFRICOM, and you've got the head of Carrier Task Force 3. You've got 2 of the top 4 military commanders in the region. And if you recall your history at that time, we were on the verge of taking on Syria and Iran. No pretenses. We were making noise. We were making provoking moves, trying to get the other side to punch us in the nose first so we could go in. So this was considered to be a war zone. And you had 2 of the top 4 military commanders conspiring to disobey a direct presidential directive to not intervene in Benghazi. Had Ambassador Stevens been rescued and the plot was able to be revealed for all to see, the Watergate of all time, if you will, that would have been the toppling of the Obama administration, hence a bloodless military coup that would have been carried out through legal impeachment and probably imprisonment of this president. With 264, and that's my latest count, of senior command military officers fired by the Obama administration, isn't it interesting that not one of them is going on Fox? Not one of them is writing a book. Not one of them is trying to cash in on their fame and fortune as a general and trying to basically make political hay against this president. They're strangely quiet because they're joining a movement. But before a coup can be initiated, Obama is going to initiate his own false flag, and then the games are going to begin. Last May, Treasury Secretary Jack Lew came out and said, we're going to take some federal retirement accounts for protective purposes, take the money for safekeeping, and eventually we'll just give it back. Move forward into last year, we got confirmation that MF Global will never be punished in terms of what John Corzine did, because that follows that principle of 90% of the law is your own possession of that money. The principle has been set. With the stroke of a pen, we've seen almost 18% of the economy under the Affordable Care Act transitioning into control by the government, control of small business functioning, control of who your doctor is, control of all prices related to health care. MIRA, coming on the heels of the Affordable Care Act, will follow the same pattern. And what we're going to see is there's going to be a crisis, and then there's going to be the rollout of mandatory MIRA, and the governments who are broke are going to take more and more of our money. Effectively, we are going to become slave labor, where everything we earn is subject to confiscation from the government. The stock market compared now to 1928, 1929, there's not a lot of difference. Right. And if there's a stock market crash and the government starts grabbing funds, that explains the 2.2 billion rounds of DHS acquired ammunition to go with their 2,700 armored personnel carriers to the Russians that are training in the streets of America, training in specialized camps. And this is also why I've talked to two of the fire generals, and what they have told me, some of these generals are actually talking about initiating a guerrilla resistance that will end up being civil war in this scenario that we're talking about. So I do think we're going to see bloodshed in the streets. I think we're going to see DHS and the Russians and what other blue helmets are in this country against the American military, the veterans, in a guerrilla warfare, along with whatever civilians will join them. And I think it's going to be literal hell on earth. This is a criminal mafia organization that's trying to run the planet, and people that no longer fill the purpose or key witnesses who might speak out are disappearing. When I first heard about the first few bankers, I thought this was the canary in the mine, that the system was about to collapse, and these people were killing themselves like the 1929 stockbrokers did when they jumped out of the Wall Street buildings. But now it's pretty clear this is an orchestrated effort to wipe these people out for a specific reason. Somewhere between about 450 and 500 top-level bankers have left the United States. The bankers don't want to be in the countries where there's going to be turmoil. So they're going to less invasive places of safety and solitude. The other bankers that we're seeing die now are bankers that if this thing rolls up badly and we see court actions, if the people win, who could testify against me? This is why these bankers are being eliminated. This is evidence tampering through murder. Why are they killing the bankers if it's about evidence tampering to keep them from talking? Is there a counteraction that's coming? Are they worried about losing a civil war? Are they worried that someday there's going to be a Nuremberg trial for bankers? If we're not one of their bankster employees carry out their acts of heinous enslavement of this country, we are all felons. You have the BIAC report, you have the Connecticut actions, we are all terrorists. You're either with the Constitution or you're with the enslavers. And that's really what this comes down to.
Mr. Estevez, in the NPR investigation of the 1033 program, they list that 12,000 bayonets have been given out. What purpose are bayonets being given out for?
Senator, bayonets are available under the program. I can't answer what a local police force would need a bayonet.
I can give you an answer, none. So what's President Obama's administration's position on handing out bayonets to the police force? It's on your list. You guys create the list. You're going to take it off the list. We're going to keep doing it.
We are going to look at what we are providing under the administration's review of all these programs.
So it's unclear at this point whether President Obama approves of 12,000 bayonets being given out. I would think you can make that decision last week.
I think we need to review all the equipment that we're providing, Senator. And as I said, we, the Department of Defense, do not push any of this equipment on any police force. The states decide what they need.
My understanding is that you have the ability to decide what equipment is given out and what equipment is not given out. If you decided tomorrow, if President Obama decided tomorrow that mine-resistant ambush protection 20-ton vehicles are not appropriate for cities in the United States, he could decide tomorrow to take it off the list. You could decide this tomorrow. My question is, what is the administration's opinion on giving out mine-resistant ambush protection 20-ton vehicles to towns across America? Are you for it or against it?
Obviously, we do it, Senator. We're going to look at that. I will also give you anecdotes where mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles have protected police forces in shootouts.
But we've already been told they're only supposed to be used for terrorism, right? Isn't that what the rule is?
Our rule is for counter-drug, which could have been the shootout. I'd have to look at the incident. Counter-narcotics, counter-terrorism.
I guess the point I wish to make is that these are fairly simple problems, and common sense applied years ago. We could have fixed these. We're going to maybe fix them, although I have my doubts because I've seen rarely anything ever fixed in government. I find these decisions to be very easy to make. You just shouldn't be giving out mine-resistant vehicles. Bayonets, there's no excuse. I don't understand why we have to get together and have a study for months to decide bayonets are inappropriate to be giving out. I can't imagine any use for a bayonet in an urban setting. The militarization of police is something that has gotten so far out of control, and we've allowed it
to descend, along with not a great protection of our civil liberties as well. We say we're going to do this. It's okay if it's for drugs. Well, look at the instances of what have happened in recent times. The instance in Georgia just a couple of months ago of an infant in a crib getting a percussion grenade thrown in through a window in a no-knock raid. Turns out the infant obviously wasn't involved in the drug trade, but neither was even the infant's family. Happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. No one's even been indicted on this. So really, this is crazy out of control, and giving military equipment and with a breakdown of the whole idea of due process, of no-knock raids and not having judges issue warrants anymore, you can see how this gets out of control, and people are very concerned with what is going on here. And I see the response so far to be lackluster, and I hope you will do a more complete job in trying to fix this. Thank you.
Who are you? I know who I am. I know what I stand for. And this country is in jeopardy under Muslim Brotherhood, under an administration that's leaking information to the enemy, under communism. Right now, I want to get behind somebody. But the thing is, there's nobody there saying it loud, talking about the Constitution, talking about America, and the abuses and usurpations that are going on around the world. I want to get behind a leader who wants to lead. I know what I'm fighting against right now. I don't know who I'm fighting for. Look at the Middle East. It's over 30-some countries who are protesting violently against us. They're saying death to America. There's Occupy groups over there. If you see the consulate in Benghazi on the wall, you see ACAB. That's American Occupy groups from here, over there. In that compound, you'll see it on the wall with that ripped American flag. You see the French anarchist mask. There's a lot of people out there who don't want the American ethos to survive, to live. Our government does not believe in you. They do not believe in the American people, and we are the only thing left that is standing for what America was born upon. Rugged individualism, American exceptionalism. Where are our allies? Do we have any? Where's England? Where's Europe? You don't see media. They don't stand for us. I'm one of the veterans who stood for OPSEC, who came out against the administration and the leaks. And all of the information that has been coming out even before the Osama bin Laden raid, are they using us for a political ploy? Yes. I say fie. Is it not within the realm of possibility that they could be wanting to give it away for more devious reasons? The president has said himself, judge me by the people I surround myself with. And it just so happens that the people in this administration and the people in the White House are leaking things that are going to get us out there on the field of war, or if they get past them, it comes to you. Whether you are Republican, Democrat, Independent, we die. We have to look at these people, the Muslim Brotherhood in our country and in all these countries overseas. We see it as individual conflicts and individual events. You are wrong. Vietnam, World War II, Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan, we look at them as little individual conflicts. Wrong. When these guys come at us, it is something that comes from somewhere in the 600s, 7th century. They see this as one action, world domination, and it is only those people who are to be in charge, and you do not exist in their future plans. With coming out, they have excoriated me. They have pulled all of our addresses, our phone numbers, email addresses, family members, pictures, dossiers on what we do, how we do it, and when we do it. The people I know, my friends, who have nothing to do with us speaking out, their stuff as well. And a lot of you here, your addresses, your information, your stuff as well is out there. The people who stick to their guns, stick to their Bibles, and have antipathy towards outsiders, that's not an insult, that's a compliment to me. Because you know what? You earn my trust, you earn my respect, and damn it, you better fight for it. We are coming to a time in this country, people, where, I don't know if you're into physics, but it's called a singularity. It's something that nobody understands, can see, and you call it. What is it? Something's coming. Everyone feels something in your chest. Do you feel rage? Do you feel uncomfortable? That's it. Your lifestyle, your way of life, your being is on the edge. Whether it be economy, whether it be world war, whether it be civil war, whether it be civil unrest. When I was in Iraq, my first time, we had to protect the provisional government in Iraq while they were writing a constitution and they were going through their first elections in over 64 years. The deputy prime minister looked at me one day and he goes, "Why are you here? Why are you risking your life so I can write anything down here that we want, that we believe in, without you telling me what to write?" And then he says, "What is it to be an American?" That just stopped me cold, but it wasn't the answer. It was the question that changed my life. Thank you, guys.
The dollar collapse will be the single largest event in human history. This will be the first event that will touch every single living person in the world. All human activity is controlled by money. Our wealth, our work, our food, our government, even our relationships are affected by money. No money in human history has had as much reach in both breadth and depth as the dollar. It is the de facto world currency. All other currency collapses will pale in comparison to this big one. All other currency crises have been regional, and there have always been other currencies for people to grasp onto. This collapse will be global, and it will bring down not only the dollar, but all other fiat currencies, as they are fundamentally no different. The collapse of currencies will lead to the collapse of all paper assets. The repercussions to this will have incredible results worldwide. The dollar is the world's reserve currency. It supports the global economy in setting foreign trade, most importantly, the petrodollar trade. This fuels our corporate vampires that acquires and harvests the wealth of the world. The corporate powers suppress real assets like natural resources and labor to provide themselves massive profits. The fascist statists, collectivist model provides the money into the economy to fund an ever-increasing federal government. That government then grows larger and larger, enriching its minions with jobs to control their fellow citizens. Finally, to come full circle, the government then controls other nations through the military-industrial complex. This cycle will be cut when the mathematically and inevitable collapse of the dollar occurs. In order for our debt-based money to function, we must increase the debt every year in excess of the debt and interest accrued the year before, or we will enter a deflationary death spiral. When debt is created, money is created. When the debt is paid off, money is destroyed. There is never enough to pay off the debt because there would be not $1 in existence. We are at a point where we either default on the debt, willingly or unwillingly, or create more money or debt to keep the cycle moving. The problem is, if you understand anything about compounding interest, we are reaching the hockey stick moment, where the more debt that is incurred, the less effective it is, and this leads us to hyperinflation. There are only two actors needed for this hyperinflation: the lender of last resort, or the Fed, and the spender of last resort, the government. These two can and will blow up the system. I believe they will wait until the next crises and the whiff of deflationary depression before they fire up the printing presses. That crisis is coming very soon, at the end of the summer or fall. The money and emergency measures are worn out. The fact that none of the underlying problems that caused the 2008 crisis have been resolved. The only thing that has happened is that instead of corporate problems, we now have national problems. In this movie, Greece will play a role of Lehman Brothers, and the United States will play the role of AIG. The problem is there is nowhere to kick the can down the road, and there is no world government to absorb the debt yet. So this leads me to the top 5 places not to be when the dollar collapses.